As the world observes international mental health, the situation in Ghana is dire. Mental health across the country face imminent shutdown, and this is due to non-availability of drugs and essential medicines. On today's big story, we ask what happened to mental health care in Ghana. And I'm here at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital to get answers from the Chief Psychiatrist, Dr. Osei. This is today's big story with me, Prince Mika. Hello. So we're here in the office of the Chief Psychiatrist, Dr. Osei Asare. Doc, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm doing great. And I guess you're fine as well.
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good to know. Doc, so we're here. You've run out of drugs and for that matter, you face imminent shutdown. How true is that?
We are seriously short of drugs. Drug supplies are short. And we are hoping that we'll be able to get some, trying to mobilize. What happens in the past all along is that when we are short of drugs, we are able to get some private suppliers to bring, and then we sell for them, or we sell and we give them their money. We just put a small markup. If you don't have it, then we have to write it for the patients to go and buy from town. Unfortunately, the drugs are expensive. Sometimes they're even not available in town. But that's only one aspect. Money to run the hospital, we are also seriously short of that. And so, as you said, we stand the risk of stopping admissions if in the next 1 week we don't get any, we are not able to address the situation. Because we can't bring patients to the hospital and we can't feed them. That would be more cruel than if we had not admitted them. So
what form of interaction has been going on between you and the Ministry of Health? What have you been doing to avert?
It's been ongoing every now and then. They keep assuring us, and you can see they have the goodwill, but the point is that goodwill is not enough. So if you don't have the funds, either you stop admissions subsequently, or we have to charge patients as we admit them 400 or 500 Ghana cedis a month for those who are coming on admission. For those who are not coming on admission, maybe 40 to 50 Ghana cedis on outpatient basis. We don't want to get there because the law actually forbids it. But if you are pressed to the wall, then you cannot help.
Psychiatric treatment in Ghana is 100% free. So it means that you depend solely on government, and that is the problem. And don't forget, they were under GHS or Ghana Health Service, and for that matter, they were feeding into that budget, and later the ministry will have to support. Now you are an authority on your own, you need a fresh budget. So they didn't have budget then. We did not plan for them because we didn't know they were going to be in full force. So they didn't have budget. They were still depending on the ministry's budget. What is going to happen now is that we're now going to give them budgets as part of our budget preparation, so that mental health authority will have a separate budget and they'll work with the budget.
The argument from the health ministry is that you don't have a budget.
Who said we don't have a budget? There is a budget. I'm not sure that's what they meant. I'm sure, I want to believe that you misunderstood them. But we have a budget. The point is that every year, before the beginning of the year, we send a budget to the ministry. The ministry actually does its own surgery on the budget, gives us a certain ceiling for us to work within the ceiling. Obviously, the ceiling is inadequate. In the past 5 years, the ceiling has never been adequate. But granted, they go beyond the ceiling they give us every time, because they recognize that we are not income generating. And so the same thing happened last year towards the end of the year. We sent a budget to the ministry, so our budget is there.
But that was a similar argument they put up last year. When this issue came up, that you didn't have drugs, you couldn't pay your suppliers, and today we're hearing this similar argument that you know you don't come clear as far as your budget.
What do you mean by you don't come clear? So what about the budget that was given to them? We have a budget with the ministry. I don't think we want to, I don't know exactly how they put it, and I want to believe that they didn't say it the way you are saying it, so I won't comment on that further, but we have a budget every time.
Before coming into your office, we saw a number of mentally challenged people, those that the society call mad people, sitting, close to the street and loitering about. I know some time ago we spoke about it, and you mentioned that there were moves to curb that particular menace and even go to the extent of dealing with the kind of atrocities they go through at prayer camps and all. Why do we still see these mentally challenged persons on the street, and what have you done so far with prayer camps?
With respect to bringing patients from the streets, we started doing that. We brought 5 at some point. The following week brought 5 more, so 10, and then we paused treated the 10, 3 of them ran away. The remaining 7 are well. That's about 2-3 months ago.
How did they run away?
Oh, well, our security is not exactly strong here. The security is quite porous. So they ran away, they absconded. The remaining have improved. One of them is a Beninois. We are getting the embassy to come and take him away. And then just about 2-3 weeks ago, we went for another 10. So they are there and we are treating them. And I'm sure in the next 1 month they'll be fine. You will send them home from wherever they come from, go for another set of 10. So we'll be doing it that way and gradually roll it all over the country. So every regional capital will be doing similar thing. If we continue doing that way, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you'll not see any mentally ill person on the streets.
Now we're here at the Ministry of Health to catch up with the board chairman of the Mental Health Authority, Professor Barima Osei. This is today's big story. Bro, good to see you.
Glad to see you.
Thank you very much for joining us on today's big story. And we're hearing that mental health facilities across the country are challenged at this particular moment as far as drugs are concerned. At the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, for instance, this issue has come up over and over. Are you aware of it, and how can it be solved once and for all?
Yes, I'm aware of it. You see, most of our psychotropic medication are produced from outside. They have to be imported, and you know the challenges that we have with foreign exchange and all that. And we have people who have bidded for it, have told, but then they need money to bring the drugs here.
But why should there always be budgetary constraints as far as this issue is concerned?
Well, that one I cannot answer. It had to be with the Minister of Health and Minister of Finance. But one would have expected that you have medication to manage our cases. Because without medication, most of them will relapse. So you see them frequently coming in for treatment. And also, because of the expensive nature of our medication, they cannot afford. And mental health treatment should have been free, but because of lack of medication, some people are bringing the drugs and they have to purchase them, which is not what we wanted. And therefore, we are proposing that the government should allow people to manufacture some of these drugs in the country so that it will be less expensive, it will be available, and then in terms of payment can be arranged.
But this has been long coming. I mean, beyond your advocacy that manufacturing should be done home, I'm talking about a solution to ending this cycle of shortage of drugs at the mental health facilities. I mean, you're here at the Ministry of Health. I don't know what they've been telling you, but do you get a sense of assurance from them that this will be dealt with and we can avert a complete shutdown of our mental health hospitals?
You see, this is what we're planning. You see, once we have LI approved and we have a dedicated fund for mental health approved from Parliament, then we should be managing that fund to make sure that drugs are available. But at the moment, they say people have won the tender and the drugs are not here. It takes some time for the drugs to arrive. And also, we are not sure whether they have the requisite amount, money, to purchase these drugs. So we're hoping that by say next year, if we're able to get the fund going through dedicated money from existing systems and also from donors and other benevolent people, we might be able to address this issue. But it has been a perennial problem of drugs not being available. In the past we had...
It's worrying.
It is. It is worrying.
It has consequences, doesn't it?
It makes our work very difficult. I'm sure family members are also not happy because they don't have money. Their children, people are they are relapsing and they are creating problems in their homes and all that.
But I remember at the time when this incident occurred in this country, Dr. Osei, the chief psychiatrist at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, mentioned that they were going to, send out some of the patients who seemed to be doing well, and there were concerns about the kind of danger they would be exposed to.
Oh, that program is still on. It's not our intention to keep patients indefinitely in psychiatric hospitals. In fact,
but I'm saying that how do you reconcile this to what is happening now? The fact that we have drug shortage, hospitals might be shut down and all that.
Yes. Well, hospital shutdown, that can never be. because we will try by all means and find something somewhere and manage at least those who are in the institutions. And we need to have support from families and other Ghanaians, well-meaning Ghanaians, to also support.
But to what extent can that go?
Well, to the extent that we have money available, that the economy improves, and also we have systems that are laid down to make sure that we have continuous flow of money to the mental health sector. And that's why we're talking about a fund. Now, when the fund is established and we're able to raise a lot of money, some money, and some of which can be channeled to purchase drugs, then we'll be getting somewhere. So,
but now that we don't have the fund running,
yeah.
What are we going to see in our various, mental hospitals? What are we likely to see? Are we likely to see a situation where some of the patients would have to be sent home?
Well, those who are well, in fact, it's not only the drugs that are making them go home, because they cannot feed them. So if you went to all the 3 psychiatric hospitals, you see that the intake is very small. Those we think can be managed at home are sent home to receive treatment home, and those who come in, they have to pay for the services that are available, including drugs. And this is exactly what we don't want to happen. But then, out of the whole situation, we need to find money somewhere, and parents have to buy drugs to keep them in the hospitals. And that's what they are doing now.
Mental hospitals across the country have run short of drugs and other facilities. What's really happening?
We are aware of this situation, and we've really tried to get them some medicines. This is because you have a new act in place that tells you that you need to decentralize mental health care across the country. What it means is every hospital should have some mental health unit with clinical psychiatric in there with some kind of medicine. So it means that you now have a lot of medicines to take care of persons living with such deformities. So we've done that, and just recently we heard also that they've run out of stock, and we are in the process of restocking that. As I speak to you, we've signed a contract with the supplier, and they should start supplying very soon.
I spoke to Professor J.B. Asare, and he agrees that this has become cyclical. It keeps recurring. Exactly what have you done to deal with it once and for all?
What we've done is to make sure that the Mental Health Act is passed, and then the board is inaugurated, for which Prof is the chairman of that board. It means that we now have an authority that will deal with mental health in this country. It's not one of the unit or one of the services under Ghana Health Service, but you have an authority that will be dealing with mental health care. That is one of the things that we need to applaud government for. We had Netherlands and other countries praising Ghana for doing that particular thing, because you need to give that particular institution, the nursery, support, and the Act is doing that.
But are we not going to see a situation where there'll be a complete shutdown of these hospitals that have run out of drugs?
No, you cannot do that. We keep saying that those facilities are public institutions, and you cannot just on your own shut them down. What you can do is to stop admission at a point in time, because it will also create some hazard if you keep admitting without the nursery medication.
When you stop admission, there'll be a gap. So what happens during that period?
Yes, that is what we want to deal with. We want to deal with that by supplying them with the nursery medication. Then they will continue admitting.
So how soon will these medication go to them?
How soon? Very soon. As I told you, the supplier has come for his contract document, and will be supplying very soon.
Okay. So I spoke to, again, I'll go back to Professor J.B. Asare, who mentions that we're going to see the Mental Health Act really bite in say like 3 years to come. Now, how do you reconcile that with this cyclical problem of hospitals running out of drugs and other facilities?
No, we hope that the full implementation or what the Prof just mentioned would be less than 3 years, because we are hoping that the necessary logistics to work will be put in place for them to be able to start biting, as to use your word. Because if you said 3 years, then there will be a gap. So we pray and hope that soon they will start working. That is why last year we gave them some money to start operation as a board, and then we give them some money to also pay their suppliers off. That is a major problem because they don't generate anything. Psychiatric treatment in Ghana is 100% free, so it means that you depend solely on government, and that is the problem. And don't forget, they were under GHS or Ghana Health Service, and for that matter, they were feeding into that budget, and later the ministry will have to support. Now you are an authority on your own, you need a fresh budget. So they didn't have budget then. We did not plan for them because we didn't know they were going to be in full force, so they didn't have budget. They were still depending on the ministry's budget. What is going to happen now is that we're now going to give them budgets as part of our budget preparation, so that mental health authority will have a separate budget and they'll work with that budget.
We're in October, going into November, and then December, and subsequently the following year. What assurance can you give that going into next year, or even next month for that matter, we're not going to hear them say that, look, we are constrained budget-wise, and that we're unable to pay our suppliers, hence there'll be no drugs in these hospitals?
Yes, I'm assuring you, because I spoke to the director in charge of procurement and supply this morning. I asked him what the situation is, and he tells me that the supplier will be doing that in no time. So by, as you said, by next month, they should have their supplies, and I believe we will be fine.
Well, on the flip side, we met a gentleman who says he has a message for Africans from God. We can now listen.
My message is that the Lord says I should tell the whole world, the whole Africans, that Ebola is not a virus as being falsely propagated. Ebola is a stream, devilish like Antoine, and Ebola, par contre, is a male something, whereas Antoine is Oba woman. Ebola came to Gabon 2002 when I was there. Ebola is a stream in Congo, but it came to Gabon to cause some mess. 2002, it killed only 3 people, and Obabongo said, "What, in my country? I will not accept that." He called in Israelis and Americans, and they prayed, and then Ebola left the country. Tokbele, as he is, he has gone around, bypass Gabon, this time Cameroon, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana, and he landed first in Cote d'Ivoire. But I tell you, the Muslim community in Senegal, they are clean. But the Christian community, hey, they are the most useless sect in the whole world. So the whole Africa. God says it's not a virus as being propagated, falsely propagated by some doctors and some, I don't know. Even our president came to Cape Coast and he said the same thing, like virus. It's not a virus. If it's a virus, then it was made by God. God has no business in this one. It is upon some who is doing all this nonsense. And Ebola is a man, a prostitute, who likes prostitutes.
Okay, so we're still here at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. I'm just going to have a chat with some of the patients here, and just to get a sense of whether they are really aware of the world around them, especially on this day, World Mental Health Day. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
How are you being treated? You like the way you're being treated?
Oh, it's good, but it's halfway. Because maybe you can wake up early, 5:30, 6:30. You want to bow, but because of you are sick or something like that, unless they came and open you before you can take your bow, that is not good.
So you end up staying in the room for a long time?
Yes, yes.
Which you don't feel too good about. Let me also come to you. How are you doing today?
I'm not feeling well today.
What is happening to you?
Nothing is happening to me, but the way Mr. Osei is treating me, I don't like it.
How is he treating you?
Go here, come here, go here, come here, go here, go here. I don't know this place.
Where have you been going and coming and going and coming? Where?
One of my mother's place at Bukom. That's the place I'm living.
You live at Bukom?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. What did you used to do there at Bukom? What did you do? What were you doing?
I can fight boxing well.
You were a boxer?
Yeah, I can dance. I can also play football. I can also swim. That's all.
So you don't like being here?
I don't like being here.
You want to be at Bukom?
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
I can't remember.
You can't remember?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you're a boxer?
Yeah.
You wanna
I'm a boxer, but I haven't fight with anybody before. I can swim, but I haven't swim before, but I can swim well.
So what's your current work? What do you do now?
Now I'm doing nothing. I'm just sitting down.
You wish you could work?
Yeah, I wish I could work.
What work do you wish to do?
Me, I know my star. So if I see my star, I know that this is my star.